we dive into today's conversation with Bjorn Shen, chef, what can someone like Bjorn, a chef who's never played by the rules, teach us about carving your own path, even when it means walking away from what's safe or expected? And second, why is it that even great food isn't enough to keep a restaurant alive? What does it really take to survive in an industry that's brutal behind the scenes? Because Bjorn's story isn't just about food. It's about creative risk, personal conviction, and what it means to build something that reflects who you are, even if it doesn't fit the mold.
There's something about cooking for people, serving people, and talking to people that I just can't get anywhere else. Or I believe I can't get anywhere else. Not like I really tried. It's not like I've had many careers before this. So the truth is, it's something I chose quite early on. And I really enjoy talking to people. I really enjoy that instant gratification that I get when I make something, we feed it to people and we see them, do a double take when they put something in their mouth, or they give us that sort of feedback, or even better, when they're curious and they ask questions and they want to know what's inside. That keeps me going.
And the thing is, we all know being a chef is tough. You work in the kitchen and that, it's a tough job.
Yeah.
What mindset did you go into it, in the beginning, and how has that changed for you now?
When you're 22 years old, you don't think. When you're 21, 22 years old, when you're choosing your career back then, we can talk about all this today, right? But the truth is, when I was 22, it's like, I want to cook because I want to get girls.
Okay.
I want to impress girls.
Right.
I'm young, I can do it, right?
Right.
And then suddenly you go into the kitchen, you see all these motley crew of guys who all look like hardcore criminals. 25 years ago, very different.
Right. What was the kitchen like back then?
Back then, it was people who came out of prison. It was people who, I know I'm sounding a bit like Anthony Bourdain right now because it is kind of true. And that's the time where Anthony Bourdain's book, Kitchen Confidential, came out. I read the book as well. I was already kind of in the kitchen at the time, but that gave me further validation to keep going. But it was guys who told me, boy, if you ever want to have a life, if you want to ever get married, walk away now. And then they point at each other. This guy divorced 3 times. This guy got no wife. That one.
Because you devote your whole life to the kitchen.
Yeah, it was full of misfits. It was really full of misfits at the time.
Right.
And they were all telling me, they were all trying to break me. My nickname was Beyonce the
Oh, why?
No, that's the way. Every time the old bunch sees a new fella come in, young fella, they'll always try and break you because if you're not right for it, they want to break you fast.
Right.
They want you to know what you're getting into, and I think that's very cool of them. So they would physically abuse you, they would mentally, verbally abuse you. I don't want to say where, but you would get cut, you would get burnt, you would get your pants pulled down.
They just go for it.
It's like hazing, lah.
Yeah,
it's like massive hazing. It's not allowed today anymore.
Of course. Yeah.
You try a little bit of that right now, you get cancelled. 20 years ago, this was perfectly acceptable, completely legal. I don't know, but it was everywhere 20 years ago. So yeah, I can show you burns and all that I've had. These are not accidental burns. These are
part of the initiation, so to speak.
Yes. And I won't do it to anyone today because it's illegal. Not that I want to do it either. I have other ways to, tell people what they're in for if they want to step in. But it was a very alluring world to me back then because of how unhinged it was. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And how is it different now? Like if we were to, sort of paint a picture now.
Things are much better now. I'm glad they're this way now because I don't think there's any reason to put our young people through that anymore. I'm glad I went through that, but I think there are better ways to communicate. And today we use those ways. As a business owner myself, we use those ways. I go into work, I high five my guys on the way in and all that. We didn't do that all the time. I walk into work, first thing my boss would do is look at me and say, Bjorn, like that. That's the first thing he would do every day when I walk in. It's basically telling you don't up today, if not I'll kill you,
Right.
And that's his good morning to me.
Now, how did you convince yourself that you could do it? Like what mindset and resilience did you have to build? Like did that initial journey help you as well in that kitchen? Like you said, that initiation?
In any career that you enter, the dream is to reach the top of that career, isn't it?
Yep.
The dream is to reach the top of that ladder. So I think it was a natural idea. It was a natural progression from where I was to one day have my own thing. I knew that I had certain ideas. I knew that I wanted to do certain things that were not being done at the time. So entrepreneurship was the only step that I could take for that. We have to remember that when I opened my first business in 2010 was still the age where we were reading newspapers. And when I was looking for spaces to go and rent, I was actually calling people from the classified ads on the newspapers.
Yeah,
you know,
of
we
course.
didn't have like online portal for commercial guru and
Yes, of course.
websites and apps and all
Yeah.
that. We didn't even have iPhones and smartphones at the time.
Yeah.
Okay, pagers were a bit over by then, but I was still physically calling people from listings on the newspapers.
And you said that you had some ideas that were different, back then. What were some of the ideas that you wanted to see in our scene at that time?
So I wanted to see, bastardization of certain cuisines. I wanted to see fusion of certain elements. I lived in Australia before that.
Right.
So the independent restaurant scene in Australia was a little bit different than it was in Singapore, So there was a lot of things that I saw in my time in Australia just because I had the benefit of working there to be able to then come back to Singapore and say, hey, I wish we saw more of that approach. I wish we saw more of that casual approach. When we first started, I would get my manager to sit down at the table with my guests to take their order. And that was completely unseen. So we had some banquet seats, right?
Right.
So there's a spare spot when my manager's going around saying hi to people, saying, hey, are you ready to place your order? Yeah, I would say, hey, just go and sit with them. So you sit down with her. You just say, hey, don't mind, I'll just pull up a seat. I'll chat with you guys, take your order, give you
Like
some
a friend,
suggestions.
yeah.
As a friend, we're just really getting down to the level,
Right.
Rather than they're sitting there looking up at us, we're standing over them,
Yeah.
why don't I sit with you as a friend? Same thing. I said to him, when you approach a table, it'd be nice if you had a glass of wine with you. You look like the owner,
Right.
So don't just walk there with a notepad and a pen,
Yeah.
Let's casualize this whole thing.
I love that, yeah.
Right? But no one was doing that. So we
At
got a
that
lot of
time.
one-star reviews. Like, why this guy act like the owner? Or why this guy sit down with us? Why this guy talk to us like he's our friend?
Oh.
And Singapore was at the stage of being very,
Like conservative.
dining-wise, very conservative back then. Very, very
Right.
conservative.
Right.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, right, in this case, right, in these sort of fine dining restaurants,
Yeah.
especially in F&B, there's always this thing where, the customer is always right. Do you subscribe to that?
Yes, I subscribe to the fact that the customer has the right to a good time. But I also believe that the customer has to co-create that good time.
Right.
I've seen a lot of people come in expecting us to throw them a good time when they came in a bad mood, or they come in just, looking very, very snooty and judgy. So I believe that the time that you have is a culmination of, both factors from the restaurant as well as from yourself. So the people who have the best times are the ones who come looking for a good time.
Ah, right.
You know?
It's like what you walk in with.
Yes.
Right? The mindset that
Correct.
you
The
walk
energy
in.
that you walk in with determines the kind of meal that you have. We can try and turn it around, and we've successfully managed to turn things around for people who walk in with a scowl on their face. And I'll tell my guys, hey, special attention, this table.
Right.
This couple looks like they're quarreling.
Oh, you can tell?
Yeah, you can tell they look like they're quarreling, or the guy looks like he came in with a bad mood, or the guy looks a bit distracted because the girl's sitting down, the guy keeps going on his phone, walking out and having a heated conversation with someone else.
Right.
Special attention.
Wow. So you
And
notice
there are
all these
times,
things.
like I said, not everyone can be a hospitality person.
Right.
It takes a certain kind of inclination to be a hospitality person. You need to have a certain kind of EQ.
Right.
I want to tell business owners and the people in the hospitality industry, you're in the hospitality industry for a reason, right? No one, I look at the camera here and say, no one goes to your place to have a bad time. No one wastes their time that way, okay? So, fellow business owners, please, I know sometimes things can get a bit emotional, but I think you have to remain composed and think about it from the point of view that no one took time out of their schedule to go to your restaurant to have a bad time. So if they're having a bad time, it really is not their doing, or they're not trying to do that.
Yeah.
There's some other factors that's causing them to have a bad time. Okay lah, I mean, there will be once or twice, and people will argue with me in the comments and say, yeah, but someone came and they were like
Rude
from the
something.
start.
Yeah.
Yes, there are exceptions.
Right.
Everything we talk about in life, there will be exceptions, okay? But in general, I always tell my staff this when they're having difficulty with a customer or a group of customers. I always say again, look guys, no one came here to have a bad time. So maybe there's something else happening. Let's be the first to be kind. We are the ones who chose hospitality as a career.
Right.
So let's be kind. Yeah.
But what's a line that you draw, like with the customer? Like
Sexual harassment, I've had to turn people away for that. Sexual harassment of my staff, name calling. We don't stand for name calling. Fellow potential business owners who want to get into business and all that don't realize that a lot of your job will eventually be counseling your own staff.
right.
Who end up having mental breakdowns and emotional
Burnout.
burnouts and all that. People, when when confronted with certain situations, can be quite mean, and they can say things in a moment that are not in character with themselves. And I've had people say things to my staff like, you can't afford this. No matter how much you earn for your whole life, you'll never be able to afford this. Don't touch this and all, So the thing is that, sometimes when we go to a restaurant and we say certain things, we don't realize how much it affects the people or the people behind the counter.
Right.
Or even not just in restaurants, but in other situations like healthcare,
any
service.
Customers, service industry.
We have to realize that whatever we say has power to hurt someone, especially when you're not the first person to hurt them that week.
That's very powerful.
Yeah. It has the power to eventually build up and eat away at someone's spirit. And I've seen people who had spirits broken. It's very sad. It takes a long time to heal from that sort of thing. And you might have 99 great interactions, but you will go home at night feeling uncomfortable about the one where someone called you stupid, or the one where someone said, do you not know how to listen, or do you not know how to read? It's very hard to put that one out of your mind, even though you had 99 other good ones.
Easier said than done, yeah.
It's very hard.
I mean, it's quite sad as well. I mean, if we look at it, like if you look at our hospitals or even in the bus, we have to put out a sign that says please don't abuse our team members, right?
Correct. I would say that people in hospitals might have it a bit worse because they are facing, both good and bad situations in hospitals. But when people come to restaurants, they're usually coming to restaurants for a good time.
Right.
So it's less likely that they would act in such ways, as opposed to hospitals when they might have just heard bad news.
Right.
Or they might not be looking forward to a very massive bill that they can't afford. The kind of thing. There's different factors going on in other situations. We have it a bit easier in F&B.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the craziest thing you've seen in the restaurant? Like if you recall, or somewhere where the situation was really a bit
so many wild things have happened.
Yes.
There was one time that caterpillars started falling from trees. I had a big alfresco area in my previous location in my restaurant. A lot of tables were in this courtyard.
Right.
These 4 beautiful old trees. As you're eating, the leaves would fall and all that. Nature, right? But there was one time where suddenly people started screaming.
Oh dear.
We ran out, we saw that everyone's like, there was caterpillars all over the tables and the food. And it all happened in that same 10-second window.
Right.
And we had to replace the food for everyone. And we're looking up the streets like,
what's going on?
Till today, we still don't know what happened. Why did multiple caterpillars fall from the trees at the same exact moment?
Right.
Yeah, onto the heads of people, into the plates and cups of people.
It's like a rain of caterpillars, basically.
It's unexplained.
Now, we were talking about Artichoke actually earlier, right? It's unique that, I realized that Artichoke didn't actually, like most restaurants, they want to capitalize or they want to bank on the, seasons, like festive seasons like Valentine's Day and Christmas. But you had a unique way of approaching it.
Yeah, thanks for asking. And I think that's what kind of made us quite special for a long time, because while everyone was celebrating certain festivals and putting in certain festive menus, we were the only ones not doing it.
Right.
So if you wanted to go somewhere and not, have all your food rose flavored or red colored in the month of February. And also, just being a multi-ethnic, multi-racial place in Singapore, we wanted somewhere that, didn't choose to celebrate one thing versus another, because if you celebrate one thing, people are going to ask why you never celebrate another one.
Of course.
Even you try and celebrate all, then you end up missing out one, and people say why you never celebrate that one. Know, so people can be a little bit sensitive about these things, and I understand that. So let's just not do it.
Speaking of that, right, culturally, I think Singaporeans, we are a bit more conservative. So when you have all these, maybe more ideas that are a bit more out there, right? Has that changed, in terms of how we are as customers, so to speak?
As we go through the years, we go through cycles, right? Back then, Singapore very conservative. Then it became very open and they would be very receptive to such things. Then suddenly the woke culture came in.
Right.
Then now suddenly sensitive again, the kind of thing. So it can be and doesn't have to be. But along the way, we have to change certain phrasing. The reason why I do this is because I grew up with my heroes being like trolls. Ali G.
Yes.
Austrian gay reporter.
Right. Yes.
All the characters that Sacha Baron Cohen played that he used to troll people with.
Yes.
I worship dumb.
Okay.
So I'm a dumb as well. I'm a butthead dumb jack kid. And it's somehow manifested in the way that I do stuff,
Right.
and in my business as well. And it does turn some people off. I understand. I'm sorry lah, you know. But yeah lah, it's my business lah. Let me do it my way lah, you know.
Right.
Visit me another time when I open another business that might be a bit more for you. But in the
Right.
meantime, you know, I do it my way because that's just my thing lah, you know. And we say certain things that we may have gone over the top once or twice, and we've been told off by our guests, and once or twice we've had to retract some things, and we'd actually have to apologize. Remember this mom who sent us a very concerning message on Facebook back then, when Facebook was the main platform, right? We had an ad that said, "Shove this into your mouth, into your face hole."
Okay.
So we're talking about eating something and putting it in your mouth,
Yeah.
shoving it in your mouth and all that. She said, you know, kids are eating this and all that kind of stuff. You know, shove this in your face hole. So it sounds a bit sexual.
Ah, okay.
So our first reaction was a little bit defensive. No lah, you know, that kind of thing. But then, like all things, you know, we calm down. Within 3 seconds, we calm down and we're like, okay, let's think about it from her point of view, you know? Let's try to understand her and let's maybe try and see whether she really actually has a point and whether or not enough people could take it the wrong way, you know?
Right.
And eventually we said, no, it's not worth fighting. And, you know, she has a point. So let's take it down. Let's apologize. Now, did I sell out? Probably. But did I make one person really happy?
Yes, you did.
I did.
Yeah.
We became friends after that, you know?
Oh, that's cool.
You know, you have to show a bit of grace lah. Show a bit of grace, you know? This person wasn't trolling us.
Right.
She had legitimate feelings about this, you know? And in that moment, we showed her that her feelings are more important than our
the right to
intentions are.
defend, yeah.
Yeah. So we don't have to be right all the time. It's okay.
Right, yeah. I think especially in the hospitality industry
Exactly,
as
yeah.
well, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I like what you said earlier, you know, that our customers didn't choose to be in this. You know, as restaurant owners, you chose to be in there, right?
We chose to be the ones in the position of hospitality. Yeah.
Right. Now, you've been called a rebel chef. How, you know, you feel about that? You know, maybe you could tell us a little bit.
I suppose why people say that is because, you know, going back to what I said earlier, I'm a butthead, dumbass, jackass guy who ended up being a chef. Who should otherwise be in prison or something like that. You know, look, with the things I used to do with my team back in the day, I should be in prison today lah. I used to kick down the toilet when they're shitting and film them and all that kind of stuff.
Do you sort of embrace the rebel chef, or do you feel like...
I feel like people say that because I'm a bit different. I'm geared a bit differently from others. If you look at every single interview I've done or whatever, I've never called myself a rebel. And I will never call myself a rebel. It's a label that other people have put on me. My cookbook editor named my book Recipes and Stories from Singapore's Most Rebellious Kitchen. And they had say in that because I signed a book deal with them.
Right.
So they chose the name of the book, although of course I had some input lah, you know. But at the end of the day, it was not my number one choice of title. You know, that kind of thing. Although I didn't mind and I went with it. It's like a YouTube thumbnail, right? You only got that 1 second to catch attention. So when people are scrolling through the bookshelf, they look at the title on the side and they pick up a book because of what they see there. So I understood and I happily went with it.
It's like marketing.
It's marketing. I'm like, okay, let it be. So I happily said yes to the title of the book and all that. But deep inside, it makes me a bit uncomfortable to be called a rebel because it comes with certain negative connotations that I know I'm not. For example, I'm not aggressive with my customers. I'm not, you know, in fact, I'm quite understanding and empathetic of them and all that. And I'm quite customer centric and all that kind of stuff. I'm not the kind of like, you don't eat my food, off, you know. I'm not the kind of guy, you know.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. I'm like a poodle.
It's interesting.
I'm like a kitty cat. I'm a poodle, you know. I'm not some fierce,
like
you know,
Doberman,
the German Shepherd, Rottweiler, you know, with people, you know.
Right. And you know, like, you know, you were speaking of some of the dishes that you did and you broke away from them. What's one dish, you know, just to go back, that you were so nervous about putting out there, and then you were wondering if people would be like, is this something they can accept?
I never really had that sort of fear. If I thought that it's something people won't accept, I wouldn't put it on the menu. Which is why I have another restaurant called Smalls.
Right.
So Artichoke is my mainstream restaurant. It's where we do things a little bit safer these days. So within Artichoke, I've always had another restaurant called Smalls. It's a small little omakase restaurant where myself or another chef would serve a small group of people. Right now it's 7 seats, served by 2 chefs. And we do dumb stuff. So there was once we had a worm pizza.
A worm pizza?
We had a pizza with worms on top. You know, the kind of thing. And no, I mean, didn't bother me. It didn't worry me. If you don't like it, you just take off the worms. It's okay lah. The worms were crispy fried worms anyway. You know, and we didn't harvest them from the garden, by the way. These were like food safe Like we bought them from
edible
source, Yeah. I've always separated artichoke and smalls to the effect that smalls can do what artichoke doesn't
get to do.
Because the intimate nature of the chef's counter at smalls means that we can explain certain things.
Right.
Whereas in artichoke, you can't explain jack. When you approach a table of 8 people who are talking when you send them their food, they're not going to listen to you while you explain the dish.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just going to keep talking.
Yeah, that's true.
And then they're going to look up and say, "Why got worm on my pizza?" Yeah.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah. Whereas in smalls, it's like we can,
A
okay
bit more
guys,
intimate.
next dish got worms.
Yeah, okay. Right.
Yeah. Then people say, no worms. Yeah, okay, you sure you don't want? I don't put for you, but
Does it taste nice?
it's crunchy and salty. It tastes like chicken skin.
Right. No, you experiment a lot, clearly, right? With at least with smalls, right? It's sort of, is that an important thing for a, not just as a business owner, but even a chef to have?
No, not necessarily. There are many great chefs out there who don't experiment, who cook classic traditional food, and they are much better chefs than me. So not every chef needs to innovate.
Right.
But if you're the type that needs to innovate because it's, it drives your creativity and creativity drives your world, then more power to you. That's me. I need to do weird stuff. I need to mess with concepts that don't exist, which is why I have smalls. Smalls is my way of opening a new concept without opening a new concept. Because every time I had a new idea, I'd have to go and open a restaurant for it.
Right.
And then when you close the restaurant, you lose a lot of money.
Of course.
And there's so many ways for it not to work, and there's only 1 or 2 ways for it to work. So the odds are stacked against you, and every time you open and close a restaurant, it costs you a lot of money.
Right.
So smalls was my way of exploring new concepts without having to open new restaurants.
Now, what's one brutal lesson that you've learned throughout the years?
I don't even know if I can pinpoint it to one brutal lesson. I get my ass handed to me every day. I just closed my restaurant in Bali last week. I was just there closing my restaurant, I was trying not to cry, I was letting my staff go,
Right.
Bali is a much bigger place than Singapore. I don't know if I'll ever see them again in my life, Because even the next time I go and visit, they might be working somewhere else.
Right.
Or they might have gone to another part of Indonesia to work, so I might not be able to see them again. So that's the hardest part is, it's saying bye to people. I tend to learn from my mistakes, but then I make new mistakes after that. It's funny, right? You learn from your mistakes, but then you make new mistakes.
Really?
And then you wonder when's the time that I'll actually come back and learn from that mistake
Right.
or benefit from that mistake that I learned from the last time. Because,
Like, what's a mistake you feel that, it just happens all the time? Like, you can't run away from it. But it's like I know it's a weird thing to say, maybe like a good mistake that it's inevitable in this industry.
Okay. So as someone who's a chef who embraces creativity, I think that a lot of my concepts, which start rustic and simple, end up being a bit overcomplicated.
Right.
I end up overthinking it a little bit. The food ends up looking a little bit too pretty for everyday eating. I end up hiring chefs who are of that caliber to go and do something that was actually a simple idea, and then we end up making it look so atas or whatever. It's like in Bali, I just wanted to open a very casual kebab place or a casual barbecued seafood restaurant. I ended up hiring the best guy I could hire, who was some ex-fine dining guy who did R&D for the best restaurant in Bali. And then we ended up putting out food that was like, oh, this is a little bit too good looking,
Right, too atas now.
This looks a little bit too fancy, And then we're all like, have we made it too fancy? And same thing, I tried to open a fried chicken restaurant back in the day. Ended up with 3 people with fine dining background in the kitchen making fried chicken, So I think that's a little habit of mine that I'm still working on. Everyone's still working on something, right?
Right.
I'm still working on
Keeping it simple and true to what it is.
calming it down a little bit.
And for young chefs, I think we were talking about it earlier as well. You see a change between how when you started off as a chef, like you mentioned, it was tough, right? Is there any difference? And do you think there's improvements to be made?
As a young chef, I think it's always good because no matter what, you get paid a salary, whether or not things go well or not. I many times wish I was just an employee right now. There are months where we lose a lot of money. My employees still get paid their full salaries, but I just lost $60,000 that month. You know, the kind of thing?
Right.
So it's always great being an employee, by the way.
It is.
So it's different coming in now because the training you get is very different from the training I get. You will not be called Beyonce. You will not get burnt and cut and you won't get a pot thrown at your head. It's just good for your physical and mental and emotional well-being. But it also sets you up with wrong expectations. People always think they can, shoot to fame. People always think they can use viral success to get there one day, which works for some outliers. Again, like I said earlier, everything there's an exception.
Right.
We do not speak in absolutes.
Yes.
When I say that something is like that, what I'm invisibly saying is like that 90% of the time. There will always be 10% exceptions, right? People think that they can get success by being viral. People can think that they can get success in a very short time just by working in 1 or 2 Michelin star restaurants, you know, the kind of thing. It's weird. Like, I find myself struggling to keep up with the mindset of young people as well. And that's what's beautiful about this. I look forward to learning every day. I struggle, but I look forward.
Like, what would you say you're struggling with?
No, understanding their motivations. Sometimes they say they want to work for a good restaurant where they want to pick up skills and they want to be pushed in the right direction. But the moment you give them one criticism, they cannot handle the criticism. And here I told you very gently, the way that you're doing this is a little bit lazy. Can you try and get a little bit more consistent with the way you're peeling this or whatever? And then you can't handle that. You know, the kind of thing. It's not like I even told you in a harsh way. I just said it very nicely, you know. So these days I find that the way that I talk with my chefs has to be very, very indirect and very gentle.
Right.
So I say, hey, can we do it this way instead?
Right. Now, okay, we come to all the TV shows that you've done. You know,
Yep.
you were a resident judge on MasterChef, right?
Yep.
I think one thing that most people want to know is that, you know, we see all this action on TV. And if you may share, you know, all this action, you know, is it scripted?
Let's just say it's TV, right?
Yep.
So the way that people naturally behave and speak and do things is not TV friendly. Okay? The first TV show I did was not even food related. I got my TV start doing a travel and adventure show in Hong Kong back in 2015. And I was told by the director, Bjorn, your first time on camera, right? Whatever you say and do, double the energy.
Okay.
Make it unnatural to you. Because the moment it's unnatural to you, it is natural for the camera. So it might feel completely absurd to you. You might go away feeling completely embarrassed for how you just behaved. But when you see it on camera,
It looks great.
it's just the right energy level.
Right.
Then he showed me clips of myself just speaking normally in the camera. And I realized how absolutely boring and dull I looked, and no one would want to watch this show.
Until you
Until you
amped it
up
up.
it.
Yeah.
So in order to make a good show, you have, unfortunately, that's the way TV works. All TV shows, you have to stage something.
Right. Was it like a very different experience for you from being a chef, becoming a business owner, and then being in front of the camera? Like, you know, how did that shape the scene for you?
Okay.
Like,
So the first show that I did, like I said, was a travel adventure show. And it was my first foray into TV. I mean, I had been on interviews and all that before, but not on a show. So the first show that I did was a bit of an easy entry for me because I was told to be myself. It was a reality show. There were scenes where we had to act. Like we crossed the street and we say, okay, we're going here and all that. And
That you
there was a
do.
script,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There was a script, obviously. But in between the script, all the interactions were what you call natural.
Right.
So we'd film ourselves crossing the road 16 times. You know?
Oh.
It's not natural. When
Yeah.
you see on TV a reality show like Amazing Race, they cross the street. Bro, they do not cross the street one time. They
like
crossed it
16.
16 times. Okay? They filmed that scene 16 times. Because the first time, maybe a bike went past. The second time, a plane went
Yeah.
overhead. You know? Third time, auntie at the back was staring at the camera. Then they're like,
Yes.
say, auntie, don't stare. You know, So they crossed the street 16 times and they said the same thing. Let's bounce 16 times, you know?
Yep.
It was a reality show, so a lot of interactions were natural. So that was easy for me to get into. Then after that came the documentary. Next show I did was a documentary series for Channel News Asia.
right.
And I was the host of a
Yeah.
documentary show. So I had a lot of script and I had to deliver very detailed technical information.
Did you like it?
That was another massive learning curve. And shout out to the director, Joshua, who taught me how to remember things,
Memorize
how to
the script.
speak, how to look at the camera and all
Right.
that. So I had a lot of media training. Then I did another competition format TV show on Channel 5. All this was before MasterChef. So people think that...
That was your first
That was my
foray.
first thing, but I already done a lot of TV before.
So you were already very comfortable.
I was quite comfortable before the MasterChef.
How was MasterChef different to the rest of what you've done?
People don't realize, but they didn't just choose us. They took a lot of chefs in Singapore, very talented chefs, of all backgrounds. And they put us through days of auditions.
Days of auditions.
Not one day, days.
Days. Oh my God. What
Okay.
did you all have to do? I mean, if you...
And, you know, when they announced it, then all these comments on like Facebook going like, why never get Gordon Ramsay? You know, dumb stuff. Who are these people? I never heard of them before. Are they even Singaporean? People are questioning my ethnicity and my nationality.
Ah.
Yeah. You know, there's this whole xenophobic part of
Right,
Singapore
right.
where like, oh, foreigners, you know.
Yes, why are they representing Singapore?
Yeah, because the names of the judges were Damien De Silva, Audra Morris, and Bjorn Shen.
Right. So it's not your typical.
Not your typical, like I said, tanafat lah.
Yeah.
You know? So people are saying, oh, who are these foreigners? I never heard of them. I never been to the restaurants. Who are they? I got one comment saying, how come you never ask Moses Lim? Moses Lim is a comedian. R.I.P.
Yeah, he's passed on.
Yeah, like, Moses Lim is not a chef though.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. But he had a restaurant or something like that. Or he was a judge on another food show on Channel 8 or whatever.
Yeah. I did like cooking shows.
Yeah. So people are, who are these people? I never even heard of them. That kind of thing. A lot of brain dead comments.
Right. No. How do you deal with burnout, Bjorn? Like, do you ever face it? I mean, you've...
Burnout all the time. I'm constantly in a state of burnout. And I think that surviving the F&B industry, there's never an easy part. As an active business owner, right? Now, I'm not some rich guy who just threw in some money and is just watching his investments, right?
Right.
I actually work in my business. And you want to come to small, see me wash plates one now, okay? I still wash plates, okay? Literally, just getting from day to day is like floating on the log in the water. As you float on the log, it starts to crumble. And then you must look around for another log. And then you swim to another log, then you hang on to another log. Then the log starts to disintegrate. Then you swim to another one. So you're just hopping from one log to another log and hoping that by the time this one disintegrates, you find another one that comes by. And that's the only reason why I'm this far, because I've been lucky enough for new logs to keep coming by while I'm still floating on this one. There were times where there was a close call, very close call, but I've managed to stay afloat.
Now, what keeps you going though? Like, I mean, you're lucky. Luck is one thing, and then you get these new logs coming your way to sort of like life floats, right? Even then, you still need to want to do it. You know what I mean? You still must have that passion and desire to still want to do it after so many years. What keeps you wanting to do it?
The highs are very high. I still get that adrenaline from having a good service, from doing a good event where at the end of the day, people come up and thank me at the end of the event, or a group of people clap or whatever, or they come and tell me about their experience and they'll say, oh, this is very different from what I've had or what, There's sort of instant gratification you don't get from a lot of other jobs, I think. I mean, look, what else can I do, right? What other skills do I have? So even though I'm constantly in a state of burnout, I deal with things with a lot of humor. And I think that me growing up as that idiot kid has helped me brush a lot of things aside. But I know there are people who take things very seriously. And the more seriously you take it, the harder it is to survive in this industry.
Right.
And that's why I want to talk about something that is a little bit taboo, that's going to make me sound really bad, but I think it's a bit necessary. Arrogance. People say chefs are arrogant, or some chefs are arrogant. I tell you what, some chefs have to be arrogant. Because if chefs are not arrogant, they will not be able to withstand the burnout that they're facing.
Right.
They will not be able to withstand the impact of every negative review. So a certain level of arrogance is needed to say that, okay, I understand what you're saying, but sorry, I believe in my vision more still. And you might not be the right person for my idea right now. I'm saying it in a very polite way. Other people don't say it this way. I've chosen a very polite way to say it, Feedback, when given constructively, is very kind. But a lot of feedback doesn't come constructively. You still have to dig into it. And even if feedback is not given constructively, I encourage my team to always dig into the intention behind it. So peel away the first 1 or 2 layers of aggression in that angry email or that angry phone call, and dig into the reason why the person said this. Because there's something that you can unlock. There's a lesson that you would otherwise lose if you didn't do that.
Right.
So the part that hurts is receiving,
those comments.
And without a certain level of thick skin, or other people call it arrogance, you can't survive this industry. It's a certain muscle, a shield we have to build around us. What happens is that the moment someone says your dish is too salty, you change it next day. Then the moment says it's not salty enough, you change it back again. Then another person later that day says it's too salty again, you change it again. Then you end up being knocked around.
Right.
Arrogance is what helps you to ignore all of that and instead use that time to aggregate the feedback.
Right. Because the feedback comes immediately.
It comes immediately.
Yeah.
When we got a very long email from a guest who said food was too heavily seasoned. I said, please tell me if you agree. If you disagree, then I'll be telling all my friends not to come because it really isn't to our liking. And basically, they were forcing us on the spot to respond and say, yes, we agree with you.
Did you? No.
I didn't. Right. I said, I'm so sorry. We have feedback from other people and we've reached out to other people in your seating because this was at Smalls. So I also took the chance to reach out to other people in the same seating as this person and asked them, how was the food? How's the seasoning? Was everything okay? And they said, yeah, it was great. So I replied to this person 2 days later. I said, I've reached out to other people in the same seating who ate the same dishes as you, from the same pot of sauce, from the same shaker, from the same squeeze bottle. And for them, it was fine. Again, I'm sorry that we weren't to your standards today. The next time you come back, let me know your preferences in terms of seasoning. I'll see what I can do to tweak it on the spot. That's it.
So you can customize it in that moment for them.
You know what's the best for this? ChatGPT. Seriously. So I just told ChatGPT, I got a customer who's forcing us to agree that our seasoning is too strong, right? And she says that she will tell all her friends, can you type me a very nice worded response that shows love to her and still maintains innocence on our part, and says that actually, to be honest, it would be easier if we just agreed with her and moved on. But we're going to do the harder thing, which is to disagree with her in a loving way.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like you stood your point, but at the same time, you also were empathetic towards her.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
ChatGPT all the way.
ChatGPT.